Yo, you ever wonder why certain music producers and beat makers use one DAW over another? If so, then you are in luck, because in today's video, we're going to be talking all about it. My name is Creative D Will, and I'm here at Sweetwater. Welcome to the channel, and thank you all for tuning in. I have 6 different DAWs that we're going to talk about. We actually sell them on our website, sweetwater.com, so if you're interested, check out the links in the description, or you can always head over to sweetwater.com and check them out there. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about what are some features and workflows that make each DAW stand out in regards to music production and beat making, and why you might want to choose one over another. Y'all already know what's up. Let's dive in and let's get creative. Despite popular opinion, DAWs are not created equal. Yes, they all do the same thing, which they help you to get from point A to point B in regards to creativity and putting down your musical ideas. But each of these DAWs have different features and functions that kind of help you out in regards to your workflow in your style. So whenever you're picking a DAW and choosing a DAW, you have to kind of think about what are some of the features that really can help me as a music creator or a beat maker to produce better music and get my thoughts out onto this DAW. So with that in mind, let's dive in and talk about our first DAW. So first up on our list of DAWs today, we have FL Studio. Yo, now this is probably one of the most popular and widely used DAWs when it comes to beat making and music production. And I think the reason for that is that FL Studio is designed for beat makers and music producers first, and then audio production second. Now, I say that just because of the workflow and how FL Studio is set up in regards to the interface. When you first load up FL Studio, the first thing that you see is the step sequencer and the channel rack. In most other DAWs, the first thing that you're seeing is a linear timeline, and this is where you typically do most of your creating, like sequencing MIDI, recording audio, and a whole bunch of other creative aspects to the beat making process. But in FL Studio, that is different, and the workflow is really cool. The channel rack inside of FL Studio is pretty much an area that hosts various instruments and samples, allowing you to organize and manipulate multiple sound elements within your project. Each of the channels inside the channel rack can be filled with either a sample, a native or third-party VST, or you can even record audio clips within it. What makes the channel rack super cool and super dope is that the sequencing is often done in conjunction with the step sequencer, which is another highly intuitive interface that's kind of embedded within the channel rack. So with the step sequencer, it features a series of steps that's usually 16 by default, but you can extend that if you want to, that corresponds with the beats in the measure. Another powerful feature inside of FL Studio is the piano roll. Now, this is one of those features that most music producers that have tried out FL Studio's piano roll would agree they probably have the best piano roll out of any other DAW that's out right now. I think what really makes FL Studio Piano Roll stands out is that it's one of the most sophisticated but yet user-friendly sequencer for when it comes to MIDI across pretty much any other DAW. If you're new to music production and you're not familiar with what a piano roll is, well, a piano roll is typically the area within the DAW that serves as a tool for creating different melodies, harmonies, and rhythms. Typically, a piano roll displays a 2-dimensional vertical axis representing pitch, noted by the piano keys on the side, and then the horizontal axis representing time. Now within the piano roll, you can place, resize, and then move notes freely along the grid, allowing for precise control over the timing, the duration, and the pitch of each of the notes that have been programmed inside of the piano roll. Now what sets FL Studio Piano Roll apart from pretty much any other DAW is that FL Studio has a lot, and I mean a lot, of different unique features that are ultimately really easy to use. It has a feature where you can actually chop notes along the timeline just by pressing the key command on your keyboard, and it'll automatically splice those notes depending on the values that you set. You also have a strum feature that allows you to actually strum MIDI chords or MIDI notes inside of your project, and it moves it off to the grid slightly just by pressing another key command. So having these key command options and these macros built into the program allows you to actually work a lot faster than you would in any other DAW's piano roll. So exactly who who is FL Studio for? What type of creator would benefit from this? If you are somebody that is looking for an easy, intuitive interface / workflow for beat making, then FL Studio is definitely right for you. Also, if you're somebody that knows you're going to be programming a lot of information in regards to MIDI and spending a lot of time in the piano roll, then I think FL Studio is right for you as well. And another great thing about FL Studio is that, like I said, it's one of the most widely used DAWs in regard to beat making. So there is a huge online community and a huge online presence in regards to learning different information when it comes to this DAW. So you can reduce your learning curve by tuning into like YouTube or different forums and just finding out the information that you need to know. And when you purchase from Sweetwater, you also get additional technical support with any plugin or any DAW that you purchase from us. So that can be an additional resource that can help you in regards to the technical aspects of this DAW. So if you want to get your hands on FL Studios, there are 4 different versions of this DAW available. You have the Fruity Edition, which is the basic version that's suitable for newcomers. Then you have the Producer Edition, which pretty much unlocks all the full recording capabilities of FL Studios, including like audio clips in a playlist and audio recording. Then after that, you have the Signature Bundle, which includes all of the Producer Edition features, plus additional plugins that are particularly useful for advanced production techniques. So if you're somebody that know you're going to be spending a lot of time inside of FL Studio and you need those advanced features, then this is definitely right for you. And lastly, you have the All Plugin Bundle, which is for users who want the full complete range of FL Studio capabilities and plugins and just want the most comprehensive package that this DAW has to offer. Now, another cool thing about FL Studio is that once you buy any version of FL Studio, you get free lifetime updates, meaning that once you purchase this DAW once, you will receive all future updates at no additional cost. There are no other DAWs that are doing this or DAW manufacturers that are doing this. FL Studios and Image Lines are the only one that offers this free update. So make sure you guys check it out today. Next up, we got BitWig Studio. Now, although BitWig looks similar to Ableton Live, it definitely has its own strengths and features that really sets it apart from any other DAW. So being that we do not sell Ableton Live here at Sweetwater, I think BitWig is a great alternative to that DAW, and you can actually purchase it from our website. Now, one of the main things that I really love about BitWig is that it has this unique workflow that combines both linear and nonlinear sequencing. Now, this workflow allows you to create different loops and then drag and drop those loops directly into your arrangement. This feature is actually called Scenes, and like I said, it allows users to organize and manage different parts of their musical project in a highly intuitive, efficient way that you just can't do in any other DAW. A scene in BitWig Studio can be thought of as kind of like a snapshot of various elements at a specific point in your project. So each of the scenes inside of BitWig, they include a combination of clips, which may consist of MIDI data, audio recordings, or automation across multiple tracks. Now, what's super cool about these scenes is that you can actually trigger individual scenes in real time, which makes it ideal for live performing or even experimenting with different arrangements inside your studio. So another standout feature inside of BitWig that really sets it apart from other DAWs is that it offers a fully modular sound design environment. If you're a beat maker that are really into synthesis or you just like to modulate different parameters within your DAW, then you will absolutely feel right at home inside of BitWig. Exactly how does this modulation system work inside of BitWig? With this unified modulation system inside of BitWig, it pretty much allows users to link modulation sources like LFOs, envelopes, a step sequencer, and pretty much almost any parameter within the software. This can be anything from oscillator pitch to effect parameters like reverb size or delay, feedback, anything you could probably think of, you can modulate inside of BitWig. This really sets BitWig apart because there's not too many DAWs that give you this amount of control in a drag and drop manner that BitWig does. Exactly who is BitWig for? I think BitWig is perfect for a producer or beat maker that's looking for a DAW that actually allows you to perform live with the scene function and that gives you that linear editing workflow that we're used to seeing in other DAWs. And also, if you are a beat maker that really likes to dive into sound design and you like to modulate different parameters, then I think BitWig is definitely right for you as well. If you want to get your hands on BitWig, it comes available in 3 different versions. You have BitWig Studio Essential. Now, this version is great for beginners or those who only require the fundamental features inside of BitWig. So if you are that person, then the BitWig Studio Essential is definitely right for you. Next up, you got BitWig Studio Producer, and this is kind of like for those intermediate users users that's stepping up from the essential version. You got more advanced features, and it includes everything in the essential version, but kind of expands on it. So if that's you, then you definitely want to check out that version. Well, lastly, you got BitWig Studio, and this is the most comprehensive option. This version is designed for professional musicians, producers, or sound designers that needs the full range of BitWig capabilities. So if you know right out the gate that you're going to be in this DAW and this is the right DAW for you and you need all of the features, then I highly recommend you check out this version of BitWig. Next up, we got Studio One 6 by Personas. Now, this DAW was released back in 2009, and it quickly became like one of the most popular DAWs for music producers, and it gained a lot of interest among professionals and entry-level users. This was because Studio One makes extensive use of its drag and drop functionality, which makes the workflow within this DAW super fast and super easy while using it. Also, Studio One has one of the most modern production environments available out of pretty much any other DAW, and this DAW just looks and feels like it's been updated, and it got a really cool vibe to it. Exactly what is the drag and drop workflow that I'm talking about? So Studio One is known for its streamlined drag and drop workflow, which simplifies the process of arranging samples, applying effects, and moving tracks. Like, this really makes producing music so easy and so fun. Whenever you're creating music or laying down beats or trying to create a track, just getting your ideas out sometimes can be frustrating in any other DAW, but with Studio One, it really simplifies that process by allowing you to, let's say, add different effects to your track and then busting those effects automatically for you. So this drag and drop feature inside of Studio One definitely saves you loads and loads of time. Another aspect of the drag and drop workflow is in regard to instruments. You can create multi-instruments. So this feature allows you to layer multiple instruments or effects into one single patch. All you got to do is find the instrument that you like, drag and drop that on top of another instrument, and voila, you're creating a multi-instrument patch. Now, traditionally, to do this, you would need software or plugin software like Contact 7, which allows you to create multis inside of the software. But inside of Studio One, you don't even have to go through that process. You can just drag and drop multiple instruments, and it automatically create patches for you. And the same thing when it comes to effects. Another standout feature inside of Studio One is their drum sequencer. Their drum sequencer is called Impact XT. Impact XT is an advanced drum sequencer / sampler, which allows you to efficiently program drum beats within Studio One. So it has dope features like multiple outs, and you actually have real-time scratching for your samples within this software. One thing that really sets Personas as a company apart from other companies is that they create a lot of different third-party controllers like the Personas Atom 16 pad performance controller that really integrates perfect with Personas software, including Studio One. So if you ended up buying the Atom 16 pad performance controller, then now you got a controller that is not only dedicated for Studio One, but it fully controls Impact XT, and you can do everything that you need to do right from the controller, and it'll translate to your software. Now, if you know that you're going to be dealing with a lot of vocal tracks and you're going to be tuning those vocals, then Studio One comes with a tightly integrated version of Melodon Essentials that works perfect with this DAW. And Melodon is pretty much an advanced pitch correction and time manipulation software that allows you to tune vocals, and this is especially helpful in regards to hip-hop beat making and sampling. Studio One is one of the only DAWs that comes with integrated mastering suite directly within the DAW. Now, this isn't more so for beat making, this is more for post-production and you actually finalizing your track. So you can literally seamlessly transition from mixing to mastering to making your beat directly. You can do it all inside of Studio One, which makes this DAW just a one-stop shop for all of your needs. Exactly who is Studio One for? What type of beat maker can really benefit from this DAW? I think that Studio One is ideal for the individuals that's looking for a streamlined workflow, especially with those drag and drop workflow features inside of Studio One. Also, if you know you're going to be tuning a lot of vocals, you got Melodon, and then you know if you're going to be finishing your tracks inside of Studio One, you do have that mastering suite. So Studio One is like a all-in-one inclusive software that you can pretty much do anything in, but for beat makers, having Impact XT and just all of Personas software, this thing really shines in that regards. If you want to get your hands on Studio One, it comes in 3 different versions. You have Studio One 6 Artist, and this version is ideal for music producers or songwriters and musicians who are just beginning their journey. So if you are just starting out and you want to try out Studio One, then I highly recommend you check out Studio One 6 Artist. Next up, you got Studio One 6 Professional. Now, this is designed for professional music producers, audio engineers, and composers, and this pretty much offers the extensive range and features inside of Studio One 6. So if you know right out the gate that this is the DAW for you, then I highly recommend you check out Studio One 6 Professional, because this has everything that you possibly would need for making music inside of Studio One. And lastly, they offer Studio One Plus, and this one is suited for advanced users who prefer having those latest features and updates at your fingertips. So this is a subscription-based service, and it includes all the features of Studio One 6 Professional, along with exclusive access to master classes, live streams, and expert chats. So if you're somebody that knows that you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest from Studio One and Personas, then I highly recommend you check out Studio One Plus. It is a great option for you. Next up, we have Reason 12. Now, this DAW was first released back in 2000, and when it was released, it really changed the game because the interface emulates a studio rack, which you can insert like virtual devices such as instruments, effect processor, and mixers. If you are a music producer or a beat maker that is used to working with a lot of analog outboard gear, then you would definitely feel right at home in regards to the workflow in the field of Reason. The virtual rack in Reason 12 is a standout feature for beat makers and music producers because it offers a powerful and intuitive tool for crafting unique sounds and beats. It mimics a real-world hardware rack, and it allows users to build their own signal chain by stacking and combining a variety of devices such as synthesizers, samplers, drum machines, and even effect modules. With the virtual rack, producers can easily rearrange these devices and adjust parameters and route audio and CV signals in a drag-and-drop manner, which is both efficient and conducive to a more fluent workflow processes for individuals that's looking for that outboard gear style of workflow. The CV, which is control voltage and audio routing features inside of Reason 12, is also another game changer for beat makers and music producers because it offers unparalleled control and creative possibilities in sound design. So this feature is rooted in modular synthesis concept, where CV is used to control various parameters such as audio devices, pitch, timbre, rhythm, and it really enables an intricate dynamic sound manipulation that you just can't find in any other DAW. Now, out of every other DAW mentioned today, I think Reasons is the one that has the most comprehensive sound library. The sounds just sound really good right out of the gate, and it supports the rack extensions, which expands the ability and the tools and sounds that comes included with this software. So if you're somebody that's looking for a DAW that has a very good sound library right out of the gate in regards to virtual synthesizers, just drum sounds and sound packs, then Reason 12 is definitely right for you because this DAW has probably the best sound library out of any other DAW that I've tried so far. Exactly who is Reason 12 for? I think if you're somebody that comes from an analog gear background and you understand that workflow, then like I said in the beginning, you will definitely feel right at home with Reason Studio. This DAW is very, very unique in regards to the workflow. So if you're somebody that's just beginning and you don't really understand outboard gear and how to route things in regards to hardware, then this DAW might be a little bit intimidating and the learning curve might be a little bit higher to start off with. But if you know that you want to dive into this and you want to get into analog hardware gear or either like that workflow, if that just makes sense to you, then this DAW is definitely right for you. If you want to get your hands on Reason 12, there are two options available. You have Reason Studio 12, and this version is perfect for musicians and producers and sound designers who just prefer to make a one-time purchase. You'll have full ownership of the software, and if you're not the one that is into the whole subscription model, then this is definitely right for you. So I highly recommend you check that version out. Now, the second option that's available is Reason Studio Reason Plus, and this is an annual subscription. So this one is more so tailored for those who prefer staying up to date with the latest features and sounds without having a large upfront cost. So the Reason Plus subscription offers an ongoing access and pretty much gives you everything that you need. You have software updates, you got sound packs that's constantly being added, and it really gives you that kind of all-inclusive experience of working with a DAW. So I highly recommend you check out Reasons Plus if that is something that you are into and you don't mind subscription model. All right, so next up on our list of DAWs, we have Pro Tools, which if you've done any type of research, then you know that Pro Tools is industry standard when it comes to DAWs, and it is absolutely phenomenal with dealing with audio. So if you are a music producer or a beat maker and you know you're gonna be dealing with a lot of audio and recording a lot of different stuff and utilizing different samples in that aspect, then I highly recommend you check out Pro Tools because it is probably the best when dealing with audio. There are a lot of precision editing tools within Pro Tools that allows you to get really intricate in regards to editing your audio. So you have tools like Elastic Audio, which is Pro Tools advanced time stretching and pitch shifting capabilities. Now, this is super important when manipulating samples because sometimes when you time stretch samples, you can introduce like artifacts and it doesn't really sound good. But I can personally say that Pro Tools has one of the best pitch shifting algorithms, if not the best pitch shifting algorithm. You don't really hear too many artifacts when you're time stretching your audio or shifting the pitch. It really sounds natural inside of Pro Tools. So if you're dealing with and manipulating a lot of loops and sample, which is common for hip hop music, then I highly recommend you check out Pro Tools because it's one of the best to deal with audio. Another reason to probably pick up Pro Tools is if you are in a studio environment, Pro Tools is industry standard. So if you know that you're going to be working inside of a professional studio, then it might be beneficial for you to actually learn how to produce music and record music inside of Pro Tools because you're going to be seeing this DAW a lot. So pretty much any professional studio you go to, we actually use Pro Tools in Sweetwater Studios here, and every professional studio will have a copy of Pro Tools. So you can kind of future-proof yourself by learning how to produce music inside of this DAW rather than getting another DAW and then you are in the studio and you have to switch over to that DAW. It can just be a headache and it'll be very beneficial if you just learn how to do everything inside of Pro Tools. So in the past, Pro Tools hasn't really been known for beat making and music production per se. Most people that grabbed for Pro Tools was geared towards audio recording, but recently Avid has really been doing a good job to add more features in regards to beat making. Recently, there's been an update to Pro Tools that added a feature called Sketch that lets users quickly and intuitively create beats and musical patterns. Sketch offers a grid-based sequencing interface where you can create rhythms, melodies, and harmonies in a visual format. So now this is super handy for anybody that's crafting drum patterns or if you're sequencing melodies for instruments without needing to record in real time or manually place notes in the piano roll. You can actually utilize the Sketch feature to do that instead of doing it in a traditional piano roll environment. You can start with a basic drum pattern and build up your rhythm section and then layer in melodies and chord progressions all within the Sketch interface. You can easily then refine it utilizing Pro Tools' powerful editing tools and mixing tools that's inside of the main software. It's really cool to see what Avid is doing. I think Sketch is a really awesome feature and it offers beat makers a fast and intuitive creative way to start their projects by pretty much simplifying the stages of beat making by utilizing that Sketch feature. So I really like this feature and I can't wait to see what Avid does with it in the future. So exactly who is Pro Tools for? I think Pro Tools is for the musician or the beat maker that is interested in recording audio into their DAW and then manipulating that audio. So if you're dealing with a lot of loops and you're time stretching and you're pitch shifting and you're doing all of that crazy stuff, then Pro Tools is definitely right for you. And also if you plan on working in a professional studio environment, then you're gonna have to learn this DAW anyway. So it might as well be a good idea to start producing your music inside of this DAW early on so you don't have to go through that whole learning curve or trying to figure out another whole DAW as you progress in your career. So those are the people that I think that Pro Tools is for. If you want to check it out, there will be links in the descriptions. If you want to get your hands on Pro Tools, there are 3 versions available, and Pro Tools is one of the only DAWs that only offers a subscription-based model. So you have to pay either a monthly or a yearly subscription in order to gain access to this DAW. You don't own it outright, or you don't have just a one-time fee. You do have to pay a subscription price. So you have Pro Tools Artists, and this is good for anyone that's looking to make professional quality music and beats with easy creative tools at their fingertips. So if you're somebody that's just starting off and you want to try to learn Pro Tools and then progress up, I think that Artist is a great place to start. Next up, up, you have Pro Tools Studio. Now, this is ideal for artists or musicians or producers who need the full tool set for professional music production. You can get this with Pro Tools Studio. So if you know that this is the DAW that you're going to be working with, then I highly recommend you check out that subscription that offers all of those tools that you need for your music production needs. Lastly, you got Pro Tools Ultimate, and this is good for those large-scale music and audio post-production projects who relies on Pro Tools HD. So if that is you, then Pro Tools Ultimate is definitely right for you. Last but not least, we got Cubase 13. Now, this is actually my DAW of choice, and this is the one that I pretty much use every single day, and I absolutely love this DAW. Now, Cubase has been around for quite some time now, and it's actually one of the oldest DAWs that's still in production. It was first released back in 1989 as a MIDI-only sequencer, and then around 92, Cubase began to support audio in addition to MIDI, and they rebranded themselves as Cubase Audio. So with that being said, this DAW has seen a lot of different updates, and it has a lot, and I mean a lot of different features within it. Now, for beat making and music production, there are a few features in which I think really sets Cubase apart. I think that Cubase is probably one of the most musical DAWs in regards to the music theory aspect of this DAW, and the drum editor are pretty much two features that really makes Cubase stand out in regards to music production. Inside of Cubase, you have a feature that's called the chord track. Now, the chord track is kind of like any other track that you see inside of a DAW. Like you have MIDI tracks where you lay down MIDI notes, you have audio tracks where you record audios. Well, the chord track is no different. This track, you actually draw in different chords along the track inside the timeline. So it's super cool, and it actually allows you to actually build out your chord progressions in a linear format that you probably don't really see in a lot of other DAWs. Now, the chord track has a lot of different features, but one of my favorite features that I really love about the chord track is that if I have a sample and I drag and drop it inside the chord track, Cubase will actually analyze that sample and find the chord progression within that sample, and then I can actually take that sample and set it as the guiding marks for all the rest of my track. So it extracts the chords, and I can utilize those chords in my project. So once you create your chord progressions inside the chord track inside of Cubase, you then can push those chord tracks to the chord pads that's located in the lower zone inside of Cubase. Now, chord pads are really cool because it allows you to actually trigger chords along a keyboard. Like I have the launch key 37, and if I press a key on the keyboard, it will actually trigger a specific chord, and I don't have to actually know how to play the keys, but I can just map those chords to specific parameters on the keypad, or you can actually map it to pads on your controllers. So this is a super cool feature, and it actually helps me build out chord progressions that I probably typically would not build if I didn't have this feature. So another cool musical feature that Cubase has is something called Scale Assistant, which you can actually activate inside the piano roll. So if you're in the piano roll, you can select the scale that you want to be within, and then it'll turn off pretty much any notes on the piano roll that's not within that scale, and you can actually snap to scale. That means that if you're playing along with your song on your MIDI keyboard, it'll actually snap the MIDI events to the scale that you have selected inside of Scale Assistant, which is super helpful if you know the scale of your song or know the scale that you want to be in, and you don't know how to play the keys on the keyboard, but you still like to feel or just to play out the notes, then you can do that inside of Cubase with the Scale Assistant. So the drum editor inside of Cubase is a feature that a lot of people don't really know about and don't talk about. You have the key editor, which is kind of like your piano roll, and then you have the drum editor where you actually can program drum beats by utilizing a drumstick. Now, what's super cool about the drum editor that really sets it apart from a traditional piano roll is that you can actually change the quantization values of each individual pitch, allowing you to program different rhythmic values along the timeline. So you can actually draw in different hits along the timeline based off of the quantization values, and you don't have to change the global quantization of the project. You can do it for each individual pitch inside the drum editor. Now, Cubase, man, it has so many features that it would just be impossible for me to go through all the features in this video. Those are just two of the standout features that I think that beat makers and music producers could greatly benefit from this DAW. Now, who is Cubase for? I think Cubase is for the individuals that's looking for a DAW that is very musical and that can really assist you in regards to the music theory aspect of beat making. So a lot of people kind of don't think about that, but music theory, knowing a little bit of music theory can really help you out, and having those tools inside of Cubase can really help you to learn what it is that you're actually doing when you're drawing in those MIDI notes along still on the piano roll. So I think that if you're trying to learn music theory, or if you struggle with music theory, then Cubase is definitely the right DAW for you. And also, if you want that drum editor that allows you to program in those different drum beats in a different, unique way, then Cubase might be right for you as well. So make sure you guys check out Cubase today. So if you want to get your hands on Cubase, then there are 3 options available. You have Cubase Element 13, which is targeted towards entry-level and hobbyist musicians. It provides those essential features or essential tools such as recording, editing, mixing that you would find inside of Cubase. So if you're just starting off and you are at the entry level and you want to try out Cubase, then this can definitely be the right version for you. Now, next up, you got Cubase Artist 13. Now, this is suited for more advanced musicians and composers and music producers who pretty much don't require the full range of features that the professional version Cubase 13 Pro offers. This is kind of like a step down from that. So if you know that you kind of like at that middle tier, that you really just want to up your game from the Elements version, then this is definitely right for you. Cubase Artist is the way to go. And the last version of Cubase that's available is Cubase 13 Pro. This is actually the one that I use, and this one is ideal for professional music producers and audio engineers who need the most feature-rich version of Cubase. This is it for you. So if you know you want to invest inside of Cubase, and you know this is the DAW that sounds right for you, then I highly recommend you check out Cubase 13 Pro. If you want to learn more about DAWs in general, then check out this NSYNC article. It has a lot of great information that can really help you out. Till next time, thank you guys for tuning in. Be creative.